All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Waharakah Kodash, which is the name of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, in the name of His Son, Yahweh Shai, and through the Holy Spirit, you know. And pretty much, I'm just going to be edifying on the fact that contrary to popular opinion, as far as you know, pretty much mankind not having free will, you know, and that everything works according to the will of the Most High and what He would have to come to pass, you know, because people, as far as like the last video that I made concerning Kanye West's statement about slavery being a choice, people would have you to believe that you know your choice, or your will can supersede the will of the Heavenly Father, but that's pretty much not so. So I'm gonna start at Romans 9, and I'm gonna start at verse 19. All right. It says, "Thou wilt say then unto me, why doth he yet find fault? For who hath resisted his will?" All right. Because the Most High, calls things into being, before they happen, and it pretty much, shows that His will is going to always, prevail over man's will or anybody else's will, you know. And us, we are pretty much just vessels that He has chosen to, play out His will in the earth, you know, whether it be for righteousness or wickedness. And example I can go into, since I'm already in this chapter, is our forefathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and also the forefather of the so-called white man Esau, you know. So this is Romans 9, starting at verse 10. And not only this, but when Rebekah had also conceived by one, even by our father Isaac, for the children being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of the Most High, according to election, might stand, not of works, but of him that calleth. Alright, so it said that the children being not yet born, neither having done any good of evil, that the purpose of the Most High, according to election, might stand, not of works, but of him that calleth. The Most High is the one who created both Jacob and Esau. Jacob being our forefather, who was the forefather of the 12 tribes of Israel, and Esau, who was the forefather and the progenitor of the so-called white race. The election was according to who would receive the promise as far as the birthright, and the birthright was for who would inherit the everlasting kingdom. All right, so let's look up that word election. All right, this is it says ek loga, and I'll even let the blue letter pronounce it.
Strong's G 1589 Eklage. Eklage.
All right, and Salaki Aki, I'm gonna have to pause this video momentarily. All right, it says the act of picking out, choosing, of the act of the Most High's free will, by which before the foundation of the world He declared His blessings to certain persons. The decree made from choice by which He determined to bless certain persons through Hamashiach Yahushai, by grace alone, a thing or person chosen, of persons, uh, God's elect. Okay, so it's the Most High who does the picking and choosing. As far as going back from the foundation of the earth, when they elect as to those who would already be chosen to be conformed to the image of His Son Yahweh Shai and worship Him in spirit and truth was already set. Which is the 144,000, as opposed to the heathen, 2/3 of our people, who would be set aside after vanity and pretty much be destroyed. You know, it's the same thing here. Let's go to purpose. It says prothesis.
Strong's G 4286. Prothesis. Prothesis.
And it says a setting forth of a thing, placing of it in view, the showbread. Okay. 12 loaves of wheaten bread corresponding to the number of the 12 tribes of Israel, which loaves were offered to the Most High every Sabbath and separated into 2 rows. Okay. Basically, a purpose. But pretty much, it goes according to the Most High's purposes and will and intents. As far as the role that man plays on the earth. You know, like our role as far as when Esau received the blessing, as far as the blessing that he was promised to our forefather Isaac. He received rulership over the earth. And what did it say? That when he shall receive dominion, he shall break our yoke from off his neck. As a matter of fact, I'm just gonna go into it as soon, but I'm not gonna go into it as of yet. I'm just gonna continue reading a little bit further. All right. This is Romans 9 verse 12. It was said unto her, the elder shall serve the younger. As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. All right. And where can you find that at? In the book of Malachi, the first chapter, from the first all the way to the 4th verse, where the Most High, through the prophet Malachi, said unto our people that he loved and chose Jacob, but yet he hated Esau and called Esau the border of wickedness. I mean, and that's playing out to this day. The Most High gave Jacob his law, statutes, and commandments. He set Yahweh Shai to be the ultimate sacrifice in order for the nation of Israel to be redeemed back onto Yahweh, and is going to take away the iniquity out of Jacob and set us to have an everlasting kingdom in the kingdom of heaven. But Esau, the Most High, which is a so-called white man, the Most High hated. And pretty much Esau is going to be set out of rulership and be made to serve Jacob, in the kingdom of heaven. All right. It says, what shall we say then? Is there unrighteousness with the Most High? Most High forbid. Right. So just because the Most High had already predetermined these things to be in existence, as far as the favor of, the children of Israel over the favor of, these Edomites, the so-called white people, there's no unrighteousness in that, because the Most High can do whatever he will with his creation. For he saith to Moses, I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion. So then it is not of him that willeth, nor of him that runneth, but of the Most High that showeth mercy. All right. For the scripture saith unto Pharaoh, even for this same purpose have I raised thee up, that I might show my power in thee, and that my name might be declared throughout all the earth. All right. So just like today, the modern day Pharaoh would be Esau, and the rulership of Babylon, which is America, which is our current day captivity. And we're publishing the names of Yahweh, Bashem Yahweh Shai, who is going to be the ones to pretty much deliver us and to bring down Esau's rulership throughout the four corners of the earth, so that way he can be magnified in all this. It says, therefore hath he mercy on whom he will have mercy, and whom he will he hardeneth. Thou wilt say then unto me, why doth he yet find fault? For who hath resisted his will? Going back to the main point that no man can resist the will of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, because the Most High, is bound by his word and is bound by his prophecies. And the word prophecy, I got the etymology of it pulled up as far as the word prophet. It says prophet is a noun, late 12th century, person who speaks for God, one who foretells, inspired preacher, from the Old French prophète or prophète, prophet, soothsayer, modern French prophet, and directly Latin propheta from Greek prophetess, an interpreter, spokesman, especially of the gods, inspired preacher or teacher, from pro, meaning before, forward, hence, in front of, before, plus the root phanai, meaning to speak, tell, or say. So, in other words, to say, before. And all of these things that were written by, the prophets, the men of the Lord, and the Lord who had scribes to scribe all of these books and these records down, with things written aforetime that are playing out in the earth to this day, Just like the blessing I'm going into as far as between Jacob and Esau. Esau, as soon as I get it, was prophesied to rule with the sword, you know. So let's continue. It says Romans 9:20. Nay, but O man, who art thou that repliest against the Most High? Shall the thing formed say to him that formed it, why hast thou made me thus? Right. So the creature, can't protest against the Creator, the one who made the creature, to say, why did you make me to play this role? Hath not the potter power over the clay of the same lump to make one vessel unto honor and another unto dishonor? All right. So the nation of Israel was made to be that vessel unto honor, and Esau, being made to be the wicked, was made to be that vessel unto dishonor. It says, what if the Most High, willing to show his wrath and to make his power known, endured with much long suffering the vessels of wrath fitted to destruction, and that he might make known the riches of his glory on the vessels of mercy, which he had afore prepared unto glory. Even us, whom he hath called, not of the Jews only, but also of the Gentiles. Which, when you go in the word Gentiles, it means strangers or foreigners, because Israel was dispersed throughout all those various lands during the Greek and Roman empires. Also, going even before, when you do the accounts of history, as far as the Medo-Persian Empire and the Babylonian captivity, we were spread, throughout those various lands, and so we became strangers and foreigners, concerning, our covenant that we made with the Heavenly Father, the laws that we would keep when we were all in the land of Israel, as far as the high holy days and such, That's, I'm just kind of giving a brief explanation as far as, to you, brother Aki, and watching, as far as, when it brings up the word Gentile, it's not talking about the other nations, As he saith also in Hosea, I will call them my people, which were not my people, and her beloved, which was not beloved. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, Ye are not my people, there shall they be called the children of the living power. I mean, where did that happen? I mean, where was it made declared that we were not the children of the Most High? Right here in the captivity of America. They said that we were just a bunch of Africans, that we were just a bunch of spicks, or bywords, and things of that nature. Anything outside of being called of the tribes of Israel, of the chosen seed of the Most High. All right. It says, Esaias also crieth concerning Israel, though the number of the children of Israel be as the sand of the sea, a remnant shall be saved. All right. So, that goes into the prophecy concerning, the elect and 1/3, which is going to be the small remnant that's going to be saved, as opposed to the 2/3, which is the majority of our nation, being pretty much casted away and destroyed, in these coming times. All right. So let's get my next precept. This is Proverbs 16, verse 9. It says, A man's heart deviseth his way, but the Lord directeth his steps. So, and when you look up the word heart, it's the Hebrew word lab, which means your mind, which means pretty much your brain, pretty much. So, man thinks that, whatever they plan out on a day-to-day basis, that's their will being carried out, but that really is the Most High directing them, and that's something that most people can't willing to fathom or understand, because they lack the spiritual foresight to see that, As a matter of fact, this is Job 33 and 15. It says, In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon man, and in slumber is upon the bed, then he openeth the ears of man, and sealeth their instruction. Alright, so, the Most High is already going to put it into your mind, what your next day is going to be like. The tasks that you're going to be carrying out, the things that you're going to be doing. He already put it into your mind, when you were asleep. It says that he may withdraw man from his purpose and hide pride from man. He keepeth back his soul from the pit and his life from perishing by the sword. Alright? So, the Most High can also withdraw you from certain purposes or things of that nature that can pretty much deliver you from death, and you pretty much didn't even know it, This is Jeremiah 10, verse 23. O Lord Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, I know that the way of man is not in himself. It is not in man that walketh to direct his steps. Alright? So that's the prophet Jeremiah, proclaiming to the Lord that, he knows that man is not the one who makes his own path in life. You know, basically the Most High, is the one who guides your steps. As the scriptures speak about. All right. All right. This is Genesis 25 and 21. It says, "And Isaac entreated the Lord Yahweh for his wife, because she was barren, and the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. And the children struggled together within her, and she said, If it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said unto her, Two nations are in thy womb, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger." All right, so this is going back to Romans the 9th chapter, where it talks about, according to his will and according to his purpose. It says, "For the children being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose or the intents or the will of the Most High according to election might stand, not of works, but of him that calleth." So the Most High had two specific purposes for these two different nations of people. All right. It said that the one people shall be stronger than the other, which is talking about us, the nation of Israel, being stronger and prevailing over Esau, the so-called white man, who was the elder that came out first. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. All right. As a matter of fact, let's give an example of that on Google Images. All right, hold up. All right. So clear example: Esau, Edom. You know. Red all over. Nation of Edom. All right. Edom being the progenitor of the so-called white race, which they're really not white. They're red. You know. And then our forefather Jacob. So all of this, I mean, this is a clear example, as far as what the Most High have called to be and ordained and, you know, prophesied aforetime, playing out on the earth to this day, you know. It says, and the first came out red all over like an hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. All right. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. Score is 20, so 80 is pretty much 60 years old. All right. It says, the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. All right. So, what is Esau mainly known for? He likes to hunt. You know, likes to be the adventurous type of going out into the mountains, hiking, and out in the woods. Doing all this you know the things of the field. While Jacob is a plain man dwelling in tents. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and speed this lesson up. You know. So, all right. So I'm not gonna read all of this. I'm just gonna read, just certain verses, getting straight to the point. When you go into Genesis the 27th chapter, you pretty much gonna find that Esau went out into the field, because his father Isaac told him that, he was going to, give him a blessing. Rebecca overheard that, and cause she convinced Jacob to, put on, one of Esau's garments, and she pretty much prepared food for Isaac, for Jacob to give to Isaac, so that Jacob could receive the blessing. All right. So I'm gonna just get straight to the point. All right. This is Genesis 27 and 18. And he came unto his father and said, My father. And he said, Here I am. Who art thou, my son? And Jacob said unto his father, I am Esau, thy firstborn. I have done according as thou badest me. Arise, I pray thee, and sit and eat of my venison, that my soul may bless thee. Bless me, Salaki. And Isaac said unto his son, How is it that thou hast found it so quickly, my son? And he said, Because the Lord, Yahweh thy power, hath brought it to me. And Isaac said unto Jacob, Come near, I pray thee, that I may feel thee, my son, whether thou be my very son Esau or not. And Jacob went near unto Isaac his father, and he felt him, and said, The voice of Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau. And he discerned him not, because his hands were hairy, and his brother Esau's hands, so he blessed him. And he said, Art thou my very son Esau? And he said, I am. And he said, Bring it near to me, and I will eat of my son's venison, that my soul may bless thee. And he brought it near to him, and he did eat, and he brought him wine, and he drank. Alright, so let's go straight to the blessing. Alright, it says, Genesis 27 to 28. Therefore the Most High give thee the dew of heaven, and the fatness of the earth, and plenty of corn. Let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Alright, so cursed be everyone that curseth thee, and blessed be he that blesseth thee. So going back to in the future, in the time where Balaam wanted to curse the nation of Israel, the Most High, brought a blessing, basically brought a blessing out of the mouth of Balaam to bless the children of Israel, which is going towards, the kingdom of heaven. As a matter of fact, you know what? I might even grab that precept, just so I can bring further edification on that point. But, this is just going towards, the fact that, Most High had already preordained this, to be in existence as far as the promise that he made to our forefathers, But what was the blessing that Esau had received, It says, yeah. says Genesis 27:39. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. Alright, so is not Esau, the so-called white man, ruling with the sword right now? You know, which is, he has ICBM missiles. He has all different types of guns and military weapons, where he goes and pretty much, as the scriptures speak about, rule the nations in anger, you know, by taking their resources, by dropping bombs and drone strikes on them. You know, that's playing out to this day, you know, pursuant to Isaiah the 14th chapter. All right. So I can get rid of that now. This is Isaiah 14, and I'm going to start at 1. For the Lord Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land, and the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. And the people shall take them, and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. Alright, so us as the nation of Israel, you know, we were oppressed by the hands of our enemies, you know, under the will of the Most High, you know, for our disobedience. But, you know, the Most High is going to have mercy on us, and then we're going to put all of these other nations into captivity, you know. So, let's see. This is Isaiah 14, verse 5. It says, The Lord Yahweh hath broken the staff, or the rulership of the wicked, and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, ruleth the nations in anger, is persecuted, and none hindereth. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Right, because once the Most High puts down Esau's rulership, you know, the earth is going to be at rest. You know, the land isn't going to be polluted anymore with chemtrails. You know, you're not going to have genetically modified food and seeds being sown into the earth. You know, the animals is going to be in peace. You know, the nations are going to actually rejoice, you know. And Esau is, you know, is going to be, you know, persecuted. He's going to be, you know, put in chains for all the wickedness that he's sown against not only just us, the children of Israel, but that he's sown throughout the four corners of the earth. All right. And what is this? What is this pursuant to? All pursuant to prophecy. All pursuant to the will of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. You know, not man's will. You know, because an example, like when we out there prophesying this or speaking about this according to the words of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, our people get mad concerning this. So that shows you that the will of the Most High is above the will of man. All right. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna get my last point that I mentioned. Oh, the fuck. This auto check is some bullshit. That's not what the fuck I said. Alright, that is not what the fuck I entered in there. Okay. I'm gonna start at about. Yeah, I'm gonna start about right here. Numbers 22, and I'm gonna start at the 14th verse. But just going back to the point that I mentioned earlier, going back to the blessing of Jacob, it said all the nations that curse thee shall be cursed, you know. And going back to when Balaam tried to prophesy against the children of Israel, instead it turned into a blessing, you know. All right, so as a matter of fact, I'm gonna start at about. I'm gonna start at about right at the 12th verse. And the Most High said unto Balaam, Thou shalt not go with them, thou shalt not curse the people, for they are blessed. All right, talking about the children of Israel. And Balaam rose up in the morning and said unto the princes of Balak, Get you into your land, for the Lord Yahweh refuseth to give me leave to go with you. All right. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna skip down a few verses. All right, this is the 31st verse. Then the Lord Yahweh opened the eyes of Balaam, and he saw the angel of the Lord standing in the way, and his sword drawn in his hand, and he bowed down his head and fell flat on his face. All right. I'm mainly looking for the main point. So Salakia. All right. All right, Salakia. This is Numbers 24:1. And when Balaam saw that it pleased the Lord Yahweh to bless Israel, he went not, as at other times, to seek for enchantments, but he set his face toward the wilderness. And Balaam lifted up his eyes, and he saw Israel abiding in his tents according to their tribes, and the Spirit of Most High came upon him. And he took up his parable and said, Balaam the son of Beor hath said, and the man whose eyes are open hath said, he hath said, which heard the words of the Most High, which saw the vision of the Almighty falling into a trance by having his eyes open. How goodly are thy tents, O Jacob, and thy tabernacles, O Israel. As the valleys are they spread forth, as gardens by the river side, as the trees of line aloes which the Lord Yahweh hath planted, and as cedar trees beside the waters. He shall pour the water out of his buckets, and his seed shall be in many waters, and his king shall be higher than Agag, and his kingdom shall be exalted. Talking about our Lord Yahweh Shai, The Most High brought him forth out of Egypt. He hath set Salaki, he hath as it were the strength of a unicorn. He shall eat up the nations, his enemies, and shall break their bones and pierce them through with his arrows. All right, because when Most High sends Yahweh Shai to destroy the rulership of the current kings of the earth, Esau and the rulership of these other nations, he's going to bring destruction and calamity upon them. By way of the chariots, which is pretty much the so-called UFOs, and the ICBM missiles that the Most High put the spirit on Esau to make, for the destruction of his kingdom. He lay down as a lion, and as a great lion, who shall stir him up? That's going back to the prophecy of the tribe of Judah, you know, as far as him being stirred up, you know. And blessed is he that blesseth thee, and cursed is he that curseth thee. All right, so that's the point right there, going back to Genesis, you know, the 27th verse, talking about our forefather, Father Jacob, you know. So all the nations who cursed us, who mocked us, who had us in captivity, they're going to be a curse. You know, the curses that is upon our nation right now, according to Deuteronomy the 28th chapter, is going to fall on all of these other nations. All right. And Balak's anger was kindled against Balaam, and he smote his hands together. And Balak said unto Balaam, I called thee to curse mine enemies, and behold, thou hast altogether blessed them these 3 times. Therefore now flee thou to thy place. I thought to promote thee unto great honor, but lo, the Lord Yahweh hath kept thee back from honor. And Balaam said unto Balak, Spake I not also to thy messengers which thou sentest unto me, saying, If Balak would give me his house full of silver and gold, I cannot go beyond the commandment of the Lord, to do either good or bad of my own hand, of mine own mind. But what the Lord saith, that will I speak. All right. I mean, that's another example as to who can resist the will of the Most High. You know, even though Balak, this Moabite king, wanted Balaam to speak evil against the children of Israel for a curse, the Most High changed it to, you know, the point where he was blessing the children of Israel according to his will and according to prophecy. All right. And this is a prophecy that's pretty much and getting ready to make manifest itself as we're at the end of Esau's rulership. All right. It says, And now, behold, I go unto my people, come therefore, and I will advertise thee what this people shall do to thy people in the latter days. All right. And the latter days is talking about right now. And he took up his parable and said, Balaam the son of Beor has said, the man whose eyes are open has said, he has said, which heard the words of the Most High and knew the knowledge of the Most High, which saw the vision of the Almighty falling into a trance, but having his eyes open. I shall see him, but not now. I shall behold him, but not nigh. There shall come a star out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel, and shall smite the corners of Moab, and destroy all the children of Sheth. All right. So, you know, that's talking about Yahweh Shai, you know, when he returns. And pretty much, you know, Moab, pretty much, you know, so-called Chinese people, you know, they don't have necks in the line of rulership. You know, they're going to be basically casted down along with Esau, you know. And Edom shall be a possession. Seir also shall be a possession for his enemies, and Israel shall do valiantly. All right. So the nation of Israel is pretty much going to receive the land of Edom, and also Esau, you know, pursuing back to prophecy, is going to serve his brother Jacob, you know, for 1,000 years. Out of Jacob shall come he that shall have dominion, and shall destroy him that remaineth of the city. And when he looked on Amalek, he took up his parable, and said, Amalek was the first of the nations, but his latter end shall be that he perish forever. All right, when you find out about Amalek, Amalek was one of the sons of Esau, and goes back to the line of these fake Jews, you know, that's in our land right now. Amalek, you know, was the first of the nations. I mean, because who are the top ruling elites? You know, the Rothschilds, you know, which basically goes back, the word Rothschild actually goes back to the word red shields, you know, is they pretty much claim Ashkenazi Jewish descent, you know, which fits right in line with this prophecy, because the Rothschilds, you know, are pretty much like the first of the nations right now. And he looked on the Kenites and took up his parable and said, Strong is thy dwelling place, thou puttest thy nest in a rock. But, you know, pretty much, you know, this is according to prophecy that whatever the Most High spoke, according to His will, is that which shall come to pass, So I just gave, a couple of clear examples, and to those of you that tuned in, hopefully you were edified. And with that, I say shalom.